So I think that if there's a no in front of you, it's about how do I get past that? How do I move through that no to get to the yes, to get to do what you want to do? And none of it's easy, but grit and determination, have to play a really big part in it. And a lot of times just pursuing it.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Without giving too much away, what were your most memorable scenes for you to shoot?
Oh, there were so many. I loved shooting in the UK. I'd never worked there. So for me, it was such a great experience to work with the crews. And I feel like all the scenes I was saying, I feel like my babies, like my kids. It's hard to say I like this one more. But one that has stood out for me, especially thinking about it later, was Nimue when she's battling on this rock and the rain is falling and she's holding the sword. For me, it was just a lot of work and planning that went into it. But I remember on the day when we were shooting it, it just was really exciting. It was one of those moments where you're like, oh, this is working. This is going to be great.
Thank you.
So how did this particular project end up on your lap? Like, were you familiar with the book when you received the project?
Yeah, no, I was not familiar with the book. The book was in the process of being written when the script came to me. And I happened to know, so Tom Wheeler and Frank Miller created the book series and the TV series. And I had worked with Tom's brother, who's another writer. And he and I did an episode of Ray Donovan together. And so I got sent this script through Bill Wheeler, and he said, look, my brother's written this script. Do you want to take a look at it? And he told me who was involved and what it was about. And I said, my God, yes, send it to me. And so I read it and just really wanted to do it, and then fought to get the job.
So Kirst tells us kind of the Lady of the Lakes origin story and background. If there's another character that you could do a project for and tell their origin story, who would it be?
Ooh, that's such a great question. I love an origin story. I love like a coming of age story, and maybe now because of all the characters, it would be fun to do a take on even just the ones that we've created, like to go back and dig into like Pim's, background and Squirrel. And yeah, I'll take any of our characters.
Much of what you've directed before has been a modern drama. Are you a fan of the fantasy genre? Like, what was it like to work in that?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think as just a fan of stories, I've loved so many different kinds of stories my whole life. And, as a kid, I grew up watching everything. Like, I lived in a house where the TV was on from whoever woke up first, and then whoever went to sleep at night shut it off. So I watched a lot of stuff as a kid. And I think for me, I love drama. That's I love dark comedy, but drama really is usually what attracts me. And in the fantasy space, there have been so many sort of amazing things. I was remembering the other day talking to my son about going to the movies to watch all the Lord of the Rings with my brother. That was really fun, and just sitting there and being transported and watching that. And then, yeah, I was recently saying how there were so many influences that I remember thinking about when I first read the script, because you start to just, get the creative energy flowing about what this new world could be. So yeah, drawing from different fantasy has been fun.
And how was it working with Katherine Langford, especially during the scene where, she has the wolves surrounding her, like a really intense scene?
She's amazing. And I know, sometimes you hear people talking about their cast, but she really is. She's so hardworking. She's so talented. I felt so grateful that it was her, because we asked a lot of her, physically demanding role. She's carrying the story. So she put all the work into it, like she put so much. She just never said no, always wanted to talk about anything that I needed to talk about with her. In terms of the action stuff, I'd pull her aside and say, we have your stunt double. No. She wanted to do everything. And the wolf sequence was exactly that. She wanted to do everything she could. And it was so great, because then we had her. We didn't have to cut around. We could use her, and it wanted to feel like it was her. So yeah,
that's so
lucky.
cool. Thank you.
You started directing through daytime television. What have you learned from directing those shows that still helps with directing a series like Cursed?
You know, it's interesting because I come from theater and then I started to do daytime. And you would think that there's what could equate, right? What could you do on a daytime multi-camera soap opera that would, you know, help or relate to Cursed? And I have to tell you, it's a lot because I work kind of every day that I've been on a set. I don't think a day goes by where I don't pull something from my daytime experience. And I think because I learned so much on the technical side and the creative side with so many teachers who took me under their wing to help me learn what it was like to direct in daytime. And so for everything from, you know, blocking to how to make your day, how to, you know, focus your energy, where to spend your time, there were so many amazing learning experiences from daytime.
Awesome.
What was the process like trying to film these first two episodes? Like what kind of certain shots you had to take and, you know, doing the choreography as well? Like how much work did you have to put into planning all that?
Yeah, you know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of preparation, and I love it. Like I'm so humbled by what I get to do. I'm so grateful because it's not lost on me. You know, I'm like that I get to tell stories for a living. And I think with a show like Cursed, the bigger in scale, then it involves a lot of moving parts. So the more people you have, the more elements you have that you have to account for, then you have to really make sure that you're, you know, dotting your I's and crossing your T's because you want to make sure everyone is safe, crew, cast. And so if you have these battle sequences where you have horses on sand and, you know, smoke and practical fire and weaponry and, you know, stunts, it's a lot of planning. And if you want it to look messy and organic, which is what we really wanted, we didn't want this to feel really glossy like a you know, superhero story. This wanted to have elements of nature in it. And so it needs to be planned to look messy, crazily, so you don't see the scenes and you don't see the work. But it's a lot of effort and a lot of people to thank, you know, everyone from the department heads to then all the artists and all the crew that are working under those in those departments to really to pull it together.
So one of the things I really liked about the show is even though it's kind of an old story, there's a lot of common themes like religious persecution, judgment towards the other. Were those things that you were conscious of making sure were really clear when you were working on the show?
Yeah, you know, those are themes that were in there from the very beginning of the script that I read and in the book. And I think for me, thematically, when stories really have something else to say, it just has more meaning to me. I want to be entertained, right? Ultimately, we want to watch something and we want to be compelled to watch more. But I find when there's something underneath it, there's something layered in that has some meaning. It creates just a deeper world. And I think with Curse, that was definitely in there. And that concept of, you know, persecution of a kind of people just because of who they are, right? Because of whatever it would be. We know what that's like, right? Color of our skin, you know, sexual orientation, whatever it is. But this concept of this constant oppression of people who just freaking are different. So I thought that was really meaningful for me. Nature, what's happening to our natural world. I thought that was really interesting. And we wanted to make sure that that was in there. And hopefully it doesn't hit you over the head, but in the organic storytelling, hopefully it feels like it's just part of the world that we're showing and putting out there. Anything else? Any other questions?
Because the book wasn't done when you took it over, do you feel like your work with the show actually helped influence the book?
That's interesting. You know, the book was really kind of far along in terms of how it was, you know, in terms of the process that it was that they were going under for the book. But in terms of the collaboration between Tom and Frank and us as we started to move through, it was really interesting because it was so fun to like throw ideas out, and Frank was still working on his illustrations and he wanted to see what we were doing and what you know, what we were designing and what the vision was of the practical worlds that we were building. And it was such a great, and we were desperate to, we were like, we want to see your illustrations so that we could bounce ideas off of each other. So it was like an amazing creative, you know, conversation that was happening. That was really, really fun.
Thank you.
Is that it? I know it's like she said that you had until 20, right?
I
3:20.
think that might be it. Is she, Emily, are you there?
Yes, I am. I just wanted to say we're about 1 minute from wrapping. If everyone has an opportunity to ask a question, I wanted to make sure everyone got that opportunity. And if not, if anyone wants to have any closing remarks or comments or one final question, go right ahead.
I'm just really thankful to speak with you today because, again, seeing a Latina doing some stuff and like hustling out there, it means a lot. So thank you.
No, I'm a little weepy already because it means something to me too, because I know what that's like, right? I really like genuinely know just what that's like because there's so few of us. So I'm so grateful that you say that, and thank you. Thank you for taking the time, all of you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I'll send the video out to all of you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Guys.